Hi, this is Jeremy Murphy, and we're back after a short break. And hopefully you can hear me this time. I'm told that you can. I want to welcome Bill and Devon and Linda, and Ha was with us earlier, so I want to send a welcome to her that is on the recording. But we're going to talk about the power of cooperation, and I am the creator of the Positivity Patrol. It can be found at positivitypatrol.com. And I'm looking at creating some synergy and cooperation and collaboration with others. I think we have common interests that unite us. And I think in many cases we can work together on these type of issues and be able to better improve our world, transform lives, and really help people look at the positive side of things. So I guess I think of when I think of cooperation, there's a quote that comes to mind. I did a little checking. I always like to have a kind of a centering quote to get these shows started. And I will see if I can pull that up here on the iPad. There it is. This quote is by Virginia Burden. And the quote is, cooperation is a thorough conviction that nobody can get there unless everybody gets there. Cooperation is the thorough conviction that nobody can get there unless everybody gets there. That's Virginia Burden. I also think of Zig Ziglar's quote, you can get what you want if you can help another people get to where they want in life. So I think a lot of cooperation is being centered on others, in looking at common interests that we might have, ways we can work together to bring about positive change in the world. I think there's too much negativity in the world. Personally, for example, look at the mass media, look at social media, look at how negative it is. Look at how, for myself, I've had to create this positive filter where I want to see the positive news every day. I understand we have negative events that we need to understand and absorb, but I don't think we want to get absorbed in them to the extent that they're dragging us down personally. We want to try to find positive, happy messages that we can share with each other, inspirational quotes. I'm a believer in great ideas, in inspiration, motivation, creating a positive mindset, and really creating kind of a positive sense of flow. And I believe that if we can create positivity inside, we can resonate with the world and just create a constant sense of being in motion. And I think that's what cooperation can provide. I think we all get too caught up in our own little silos. We're not working together to the extent that we can. You'll recall when we were all younger in grade school, there was an assessment of how well you cooperate with others, whether you work with others or not. Well, satisfactory, unsatisfactory, excellent, or needs improvement. Those are kind of the metrics that we use for that. We don't really talk about that as adults, but I think maybe we should start looking at that, because I think what I'm finding is, now that I'm looking at this, these cooperative arrangements, kind of joint ventures that could take place, I look at other people that have common interests. I look at, and I look at where they're going. And then I notice that we're on parallel paths to perhaps the same exact point, or points that are maybe, less than a mile apart. And then you wonder why are we doing this on our own? Why are we locking arms, talking to each other, collaborating? There's a great a meeting of the minds concept that Napoleon Hill discussed in Think and Grow Rich. The mastermind concept of really taking the best ideas of others, taking the best ideas that we might have, mixing them together. It creates a powerful synergy that I think could propel a lot of us to a much more meaningful existence and a much more well-defined. I think we have a stronger purpose and mission if we're working with others to try to improve their lives and trying to figure out how we can help them in a cooperative manner. Now, we all have, I would say we all have a point B. You know, we're all kind of at a point A where we are right now. You know, you have these signs that you see, you are here. And then the immediate thing that you're looking for on that map is, okay, well, where is there? Where am I going? Where is my point B? So you have to have a sense of where you are. And I think we all have to reflect on that from time to time. And then we have to have a sense of where we're going. And, you know, we have to look at where that is. We have to look, we have to make course corrections too. We find that, okay, my point B is over here, but my compass tells me I'm headed over here in this direction. Well, I need to kind of correct and get back on the path where I was intending to go. And if I don't do that, I'm not going to end up at the point B I'm intending, and I'm not going to be able to have the type of collaborative, cooperative arrangements that I might otherwise have. But I decided personally, to give you a couple of examples, I've been doing intense positivity reading and research and writing, and writing a book called The Positivity Patrol. And it's a 10-chapter book. I'm on chapter 3 right now, and I'm just going step by step to help people find simple ways to improve their lives, transform their lives, shift their mindset and perspective in a powerful way, realizing that you might not be able to flip it 180%, 180 degrees in one shot, but that maybe you can rotate it 1 to 3 degrees at a time. Or maybe you have these monumental days where you can make a big shift and let go of a lot of the negativity. And I'm finding there are other people that are positivists all over the world, and that they're, suddenly we're finding each other because we're seeing each other's tweets, we're watching each other's blabs, we're connecting with each other on Google Plus, all different social media, Facebook, Twitter, I pick your favorite platform. I guess mine is basically Twitter and Blab because of the interrelationship between the two. But I think we have to be conscious of, I think if we work together, there's a lot more we can do than we might be able to do on our own. And sometimes there are moments where I feel like I'm Don Quixote, and that's a good thing in some ways, in that you can do a lot of creative work if you're, doing that kind of, that kind of seclusion and that kind of mission and quest. I think is extremely valuable. But you have to realize there are people out there that can help us. That we don't have to do it alone. That we don't have to be the Don Quixote. Running towards the windmill with your spear and feeling like it's you against the world. And there are just so many, there's so many man against the world type of plays. And, there's a song called Man Against the World by Survivor, a rock and roll band from the 80s that I liked. And I was kind of in my individualistic phase where I felt like I had to do everything by myself. And then I realized I don't. I realized I needed to rely on my wife, my family, our daughter, and I think of Thanksgiving and what it takes to put on a Thanksgiving dinner. And for my family, I have 6 siblings, so when we gather, we have huge gatherings. You have grandchildren, grandparents, several of my siblings, maybe not all of us, but so we have a Google document. And we share it, and everyone has to pick, okay, well, what are you cooking? What are you bringing? You're going to bring this, then I'm going to bring that. And, we have a reputation for bringing the sweet potatoes just because we can find great recipes for them. And traditionally, we always cook those with lots of marshmallows on top. And finally, last year, I broke with tradition and made 2 different versions of them, and neither of them had marshmallows on top. And everybody was very happy. They said, where did you get these recipes? And I said, well, there's this guy named Chef Dennis, and he's on Google Plus, and now he's on Blab, and he's a great chef, and he has great recipes. So I got it from him. I was watching his shows and decided to try these. So, but everyone has their task. Everyone has their duty. Someone has to cook the turkey. Someone has to take care of the mashed potatoes. And in our house, someone has to mash the mashed potatoes in the tradition of my grandparents, of Grandma and Grandpa Harvey, my mom's parents, who are gone now. They're not with us anymore, but they're in heaven. But every year, the potatoes have to have the proper proportion of garlic, milk, butter, etc., to blend it just like our grandparents used to do. And, you have to have salad. Someone has to make the salad. Someone has to make the vegetables. So what I'm getting at is we all have these talents, and they may not all be culinary talents. I have limits to my culinary talent, but if we all work together, we can make that turkey dinner, that Thanksgiving dinner of life, we can make it work. If we don't work together, we're going to have 6 different kinds of sweet potatoes, 3 kinds of turkey, ham, duck, and I love variety, but you don't want to have duplication. Maybe a little duplication. You might say, you can do split testing as a cook. You can say, do you like A or B? But if you go beyond that, that's probably going too far with Thanksgiving dinner. Although people like to split test desserts, pies. I don't understand that. But I don't know. I'm kind of picky on my pies. But somebody has to make the pie. Somebody has to make the pecan pie, the pumpkin pie, the apple pie. So there's always a debate over which pie people are going to like. But what I'm getting at is everyone has their strengths, their weaknesses. If we focus on our strengths and really work those strengths, I think we can accomplish some great things. But we have to work together. And I have to remember, we go to Thanksgiving dinner, that the most important thing I would say is for people that are older, for my parents who are now in their 70s. Well, I guess my mom is turning 70 next month, but I'll talk about that in a minute. Well, my dad's in his 70s already, and my parents can't get around like they used to. They can't handle a Thanksgiving dinner for 20 people or more by themselves. They are great at the turkey. We try to just let them handle the turkey, and we try to handle everything else. So, and that gets interesting because after dinner there's the dishes, and if you're overstuffed. But, someone has to do the dishes. Someone has to set the table. Someone has to prepare the appetizers. Someone has to clean the house before the Thanksgiving dinner. We all have these tasks. We have a to-do list, and we can't do everything. So I think we have to focus on what's really important, what's essential. And that kind of gets into the doctrine of essentialism that I learned from Greg McEwen wrote a book on essentialism, and I've been a kind of a recovering multitasker. So I look at what I have to do, and I feel like, I have to do 50 things, and I have to do them right now, and I can't focus on them because I have to do 50 things, and I can do them in random order, and it just doesn't work. So I've learned with Mr. McEwen's help and the help of others that I have to let go of the 47 things that I can't do today, and I have to focus on the 3 things that I can. And then I have to look for who is the most powerful person or a group of people who can help me accomplish this task. Where are they? How can I connect with them? How can I connect with them quickly? And this is where Blab is very powerful. I believe that Blab, hosting and co-hosting, and the rotation you get through the squares, if you're willing to rotate people every once in a while, it creates a powerful synergy that accelerates. It accelerates relationships. It accelerates friendship, respect. You can exchange positivity. You can work on things like banter. I might do banter lessons Blab in the future. I'm talking to someone about that right now who wants to co-host it. So things like that we can practice. We have to have icebreakers. We have to have great questions like, what underwater animal are you? If Dances with Wolves, you remember the Dances with Wolves movie starring Kevin Costner. If you were in the Dances with Wolves movie, what would your name be? What would your Native American name be? And why? And I think things like that are revealing as far as who are you? What do you stand for? We have to go deeper than, sometimes what's your favorite color and things like that. Those are important, but we have to go to the really to the core center of things. We have to say what's your number one purpose and mission. How can we work together to get there? And, are we running on parallel paths? And if so, if we're headed to the same destination or so close that it doesn't make sense to do this separately, then we need to try to work together to the best extent that we can. And I would really want to recognize some of the people I've learned a great deal from on Blab with CoBLABoration. I started up Blab about 80 some days ago. And I have a friend from Google Plus named Elaine Nieberding, and she's not in the room now, but that's immaterial. She taught me how to use Blab. I did my test Blab. I had no idea what I was doing. I figured, I can sit against the window and, not worry about what the screen looks like. And she said, no, you're a dark shadow. And I realized, triple pane windows are going to block the solar light enough that I can't sit against that big window. So, I had to figure out how to move around, make sure that you're visible on screen, that you're not a dark shadow, that people can see you, that can see your facial expressions, your passion, your enthusiasm, your energy, and that they can connect with you in a more powerful way. And so I want to recognize her for helping teach me how to use Blab initially, and also for allowing me to co-host on a lot of her shows. Elaine's doing a decluttering series right now, a weekly show with the Marie Kondo method of decluttering. And for a lot of us who like to collect things for historical reasons or other reasons, myself included, that's been valuable to me to try to unload some things that perhaps don't belong in my life, and to figure out what I can part with, to figure out what items still give me joy and which ones don't, and to relinquish the ones that don't. So I just, and there have been other people that have, popped onto my running coach shows. I'm a running coach. That's part of what I do here. And so I have running coaches that have hopped in and talked to me about different things, co-hosted my shows, and I appreciate their help and input. I think if we create this atmosphere, we're sharing wisdom and knowledge in this platform, and even off this platform, it creates kind of a mastermind effect. And then you see a powerful synergy happening, and the creativity accelerates, and suddenly you're seeing people that normally wouldn't have perhaps as powerful an idea or a concept, and suddenly they're talking to 2 or 3 people about it, and they're working together in a powerful way to make it happen. And, suddenly you have ideas surface in your own brain, and you don't know where they came from. And you realize it's because of the community, the company that you've been keeping on Blab, the people who have really helped you and help shape who you are and what you stand for. I want to recognize Ha Tran has been a wonderful collaborator for me on Blab also. We've co-hosted shows with each other. Very grateful for her mentorship, friendship. I've learned a lot from her just in a very short time. We've been there for each other, kind of, protecting each other in any way we can, supporting each other, trying to be there for each other. And any show that any of us might host or co-host, letting each other know which Blabs we should hop in and that type of thing. And Ha and I have a very common interest in positivity, and to a very powerful extent. And I respect the fact that she's written a book and published it. And I'm trying to write, I think, 3 or 4 books right now. I can't remember the exact number. I think it's 3 or 4. I think I'm writing 3 and contributing to a 4th. So to work with people that have already published and figure out how they did it and that type of thing, that's been extremely valuable to work with her. I also want to recognize Roy Montero for helping me learn how to be a good co-host. Co-hosting has been a challenge for me. It's been a little interesting. I'm not sure there's really a manual on how to be a good co-host or host on Blab, but I think Roy has been a great example as far as how to host and co-host on Blab, how to rotate people through the squares quickly, how to accelerate relationships. I'm just fascinated with how he's able to connect with people online in a powerful way that seems to be at a much more rapid pace than I think a lot of us are used to. We're used to all these having to go to all these networking events and having to connect with each other. And, the problem with doing that is you end up wasting so much time in a lot of cases. And you come back from an event and you say, oh, I don't even know if I met one person. And if you haven't met one person at a networking event, I think you have wasted your time. I think you have wasted your money. And I think we have to look at ways that we can work together on this platform and others like it to accelerate those relationships, figure out who has common interests, and to try to work together in a powerful way to better our lives and transform the lives of others. Sometimes I think it's been valuable for me to co-host on other people's shows that I didn't even know that well, because it helped me learn more about who they are, what they stand for. And I think there's a value to, let me give you an example. On Blab, I think if you have a large Blab going with a lot of people, I think it's essential to have a host, a co-host, and what I would call a co-host who's the curator of comments. So if you have negative comments that are being thrown out there, red herrings, things like that, you have someone going through the comments and, Xing those out, clicking them out, identifying trolls if they surface, watching for trouble in general, and, warning. Sometimes hosts and co-hosts get very busy with the content. And if you have a curator of content, of comments, you're able to really, we want to have the content at the highest level possible. And so if you have a curator of comments, you're in effect, you're really protecting the value and integrity of your content and making sure it's at the highest value that you can possibly achieve. I think a lot of times we think that maybe that our mission is to have our own show on Blab, and I think in some cases that's valuable. We all have, I think a lot of us have entrepreneurial interests where it's required. I think for my running coaching that I'm doing, I think I do have to have a separate running coach show. And I've been trying to do positivity patrol shows to identify core values and characteristics that I think we need to all reinforce, strengthen, and make a bigger part of our lives. And if we fail to do that, we're really going to struggle. We can only go so far on our own. We can go much further with others. And I think if we figure out who really has our best interests at heart and who we have some basic agreement with on what's really important, on core values, on having integrity, honesty, trust, humility. I spoke about humility, courage, patience. Patience is a very difficult one. And I think it's a very difficult one this time of year because we're thrown into our relationships with our families that we haven't seen much in person, perhaps. And suddenly we have to cooperate. We have to, get along with each other. We have to figure out how far we can go in kidding people without hurting feelings and things like that. So I think we have to be cooperatively positive in order to make those relationships productive and strong. And if we don't, we're going to find that they deteriorate. And I think it's important that we identify the people that are, we have people in different circles in our lives. We have a core inner circle. We have outer circles. We might have a couple, inner circles beyond that. And then you kind of get into outer circles and acquaintances, and then you get to, people you just met today. And, so it takes a while to build the know, like, and trust factor with people that you just met. And And sometimes it takes a while to break the ice, figure out who people are, what they stand for, what they don't stand for, where you agree, where you don't agree, and really be able to move along from there. If that can't happen, then, sometimes you just have to part company with people. And when you do, you have to basically redefine who your inner circle is, figure out, I think all of us have to do soul searching and dig deep, figure out who we are, what we stand for, and why. And we have to reevaluate that and make sure we're on the right path. If we fail to be true to our purpose, to our mission, to have integrity, honesty, courage, patience, what else? Humility. These are some of the core values that I think are extremely important. And I think cooperation is a big issue. I think it's a big challenge. I think it's our tendency may be to be not cooperative, to actually be the opposite, to be combative, to be critical, to be sarcastic. There are things that conflict with the cooperative model. But I think if we strive to be diplomatic peacemakers, at least to a limited extent, that we can connect with other people in a meaningful way in conversations and relationships, we can find that we have a ripple effect. Our influence will grow. And if we can establish cooperative models that work on a small scale, we can replicate and make them work on a larger scale also. So I would urge all of us to try to work on our cooperative abilities. I think it's important to do that this close to Thanksgiving. We have Christmas coming up after that. We're going to be thrown into situations with friends and family, that some of which we haven't seen in a while. We're going to be thrown into also into social settings where we're blending with people that maybe we've never met or we barely know, we're getting reacquainted with, that we haven't seen in a while. And we have to try to figure out, I think for me, sometimes I just have to tell myself, I'm going to be quiet and figure out what do I have in common with this person? What points of commonality do I have that we can explore through conversation, through cooperative agreements, through joint shows on Blab, through perhaps joint venture projects, joint venture launches. There are all kinds of great creative ideas, and sometimes we need, sometimes we have to really realize that we can't do that alone. That we have to figure out who can we do that with, who is the best person aligned with what I believe in for what I'm doing, and to work with that group of people, creatively, and having the courage to be contrarian. I'm going to have a show on that in the future, on being contrarian and maybe the aspects of being a contrarian coach. But I think we have to have the courage to challenge the status quo, to break, things in society that maybe don't work. And I think, this notion that we have to be always adversarial and, putting each other down, being negative, I think that's just not productive. I think, and I speak as an adversarial lawyer. I've been a lawyer since 1993. And so it's difficult for me to let go of the adversarial model, but I've realized that at least for myself, the cooperative way of operating is going to have a lot more promise. And I've just noticed that the more open I am to cooperation, the more opportunities seem to show up. And I'm very excited about some of them. I can't pursue all of them. Once you open yourself to cooperation, you get bombarded with cooperative requests. And then it becomes difficult to decide what possible cooperative project is the most important thing to what I'm doing with my purpose and mission. Which one is closest to my heart, to my soul? And how can I pursue that? And with whom? And sometimes it's difficult to decide with whom. And it's difficult to decide, it's hard to tell friends know sometimes, but sometimes cooperation with the people you're perfectly aligned with or as closely as possible, if we strive to find that, then we'll be able to say no to those projects that just, they're not as high a priority. They may be things we get to at some point. But for example, we can't be everyone's co-host on Blab, or you don't get any sleep. And some Blabs last forever. I think sometimes we have to be cognizant of viewers and listeners' time they have available. And if they don't have sufficient time available, then we have to figure out how do I deliver more content, more high quality content in a shorter time, so that I'm not having listeners on for perhaps twice as long as I should have and delivering less content than they were expecting. I think we need to deliver content on Blab at a highest level that we can and as quickly as possible, understanding that we're all busy, but also having some open-ended Blabs where we can cooperate, collaborate, CoBLABorate, as some people put it. CoBLABoration, I think, will someday enter the dictionary. And I think it will have enduring power and value. But I think the power of cooperation is working together with people in a synergistic manner to help all of us accomplish our dreams. None of us can accomplish our dreams alone. If we think we can, we're going to get some hard lessons delivered that that's not always possible. We find ourselves knocked down by some unexpected chaos in life and find that we can't get back up without someone lending us a helping hand, or physically picking us up out of something that we weren't expecting. So be cognizant of that. Look for opportunities to cooperate, collaborate, CoBLABorate. Writing projects. I'm writing books now, and I'm going to need people to write some of the forwards, to write some of the back cover recommendations, to give me a tiny quote. I don't know who I'm asked to do that. I'm going to have to ask someone to write the forward to the Positivity Patrol book. The book I'm writing about crushing asthma. I have to find somebody to write the forward to that. I'm probably going to ask my brother to do one of those, but I can't decide which one yet. The adoption book that I'm writing, I have to have someone write a forward to that. That person may be my youngest sister because she's adopted a child also, but it may be someone else. It may be someone that's written an adoption book, or someone that's knows a lot about adoption, someone that has some insight into what we went through in adopting a child from China. So, those are the type of cooperative things that I have to look at and figure out how to proceed. I know on my own Positivity Patrol show, I try to, sometimes have a co-host, and sometimes I try to leave it open because I have other people show up that are operate well in that role that I've already co-hosted with and I'm comfortable with, and I don't have to worry about, what they're going to do or say. And, with some people, you simply have to rein them in. We have topics set up on Blab and other arrangements. We want to stick to the topic. So if this is about cooperation, we don't, come and start talking about, Bitcoin or something like that, which Bitcoin is fascinating to me. Don't get me wrong, but that's not the topic. So I think, cooperation has to work together on Blab to help figure out how can we work together? How can we keep the content centered on the topic that we've set up? How can we prevent all these, dives into red herrings and rabbit holes, as Alice in Wonderland may have discussed, which, I love philosophical exploration of deep topics, but I don't necessarily like them on a lengthy Blab that shouldn't have been as long as it ended up being. Although sometimes you need that to plumb the depth of a deep topic. And I, support those who, who feel it necessary to plumb a deep topic for 10 to 12 hours. That's not easy to do. But I think, at least on Blab, if you're going to have a Blab like that, you've got to have rotating hosts. You've got to have rotating co-hosts. And you see this on the large Blab that's going right now, the 168-hour entrepreneurial Blab. They're rotating hosts and co-hosts from around the world. And, and a lot of those faces become familiar. They're people you've seen in other blabs. You know what they're going to say. You know who they are. Some of them you might know better than others. Some you have no idea who they are. But it's fascinating to see, that kind of a rotating system. And I think someday Blab is going to evolve into what some are calling TV 2.0. I don't think we're going to be watching TV much anymore. I mean, why would you? Look at the content here on Blab that people are delivering, and delivering it for free. Free expertise. For me, I've been a lawyer for 22 years. I'm a life coach now. I'm a blogger. I have the Positivity Patrol website. I'm going to put that. I'm going to put the Positivity Patrol website in the chat. And I have a running Groove Shark blog. Sorry, the Blab blog distinction is getting broken down. When you take blabs and plug them into your blog posts, and they become blog posts, it's I'm still getting used to the terminology is very challenging to negotiate when you're not used to it. So, all right, so there's that website. But those are a couple of things that I'm doing. That's where I'm going. I have a vision for linking thousands, maybe millions of people around the world with the power of positivity. I'm very serious about that. I'm looking for people in all continents. I already have a friend in Africa interested in that. I mean, I'm finding people all over the world that are interested in being that positive about life and the world, and flipping the rock over to the positive side. If you get dealt adversity, I think we have to find ways to collectively move to positivity. We have to find ways to work together. Do want to welcome Christian. Thanks for joining us. And Doug, thank you. Just talking about cooperation and how to cooperate here on Blab, how to cooperate in social media, in our networking. Some are calling it net friending, co-hosting, hosting on Blab. There's just all kind of there are joint ventures that get created. Some of those are more verbal. Some of those are formalized by actual legal documents. In some cases, people might collaborate and create a corporation, might create a joint venture. It might create a limited liability company, might create some combination of all of these. And I think that's the excitement of entrepreneurship that we can see on Blab, is being able to create things like that and to work together and figure out how to best manage our joint interests, our common interests, while giving, we have to consider legal issues sometimes, people having legal protection in the event of, for example, in joint ventures, sometimes people part, they disagree, they go their separate ways. Happens in partnerships too. Partnerships, limited legal partnerships, frequently there's a melding of the minds at the beginning, and there's a breaking or some kind of destructive event occurs, or just a disagreement. The partners have a disagreement or fight, argument, and you want to look at maybe having legal documents to protect yourself in the event that that would occur. Again, I'm saying that to provide legal advice. I am still an active lawyer, but I'm not doing that to give any legal advice. I'm just saying that would be a smart practice if I were in that situation and want to have some kind of documentation as far as what are we doing, what are our joint interests, what do we have in common, where are we going, what happens if that doesn't work out, how can we course correct, how can we help each other course correct, and sometimes it's just a matter of I think we all need mentors. We all need mentors to guide us, lead us. Leadership is really important. And, there are people doing a lot of things with leadership here on Blab and other social media on Twitter, Facebook, Google+. There's a Lead with Giants community that I belong to, for example. And so every week they have a Twitter chat dealing with leadership topics. People write, guest blog posts on leadership issues. And, they've dealt with anything from, trouble in the workplace to, leadership with mental illness, leadership styles, personality styles. And I think personality styles factor into this a little bit. We all have different personalities and talents. I'm going to let Ha in here. And our talents can reinforce each other and really complement each other. Hi, Ha, how are you?
Hey, I'm fine, thank you. I'm so glad to get home on time because I did. Did you pick up your daughter yet?
No, I haven't. No, I've got to do that at 3:45. Yeah, 3:45 our time.
Oh, okay.
So I have some time yet. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, go ahead talking because I'm going to sit and just listen for a while before I say anything. Okay? It's good.
Yeah, I was just I'll give you the past couple of minutes. I've been talking about just all the joint cooperative things that you see popping up, that I see popping up as an attorney, as an entrepreneur. I see joint ventures and corporations are being created and limited liability companies, partnerships, people writing books together. I talked about, some of the books I'm writing and how I'm going to have, someone write the foreword and to write, quotes on the back cover. And, as someone who's published a book, I know you're familiar with that type of process. But it's difficult to find, sometimes it's difficult to find people that are aligned with our interests and path and direction and destination. And I was talking earlier about how, sometimes we find we're on we feel like we're headed to the same destination, and you start noticing there are people on parallel paths that you already know. And you say, why am I doing this myself? And then you find suddenly you have people bombarding you with requests for, let's cooperate, let's collaborate, let's collaborate. You can ask different ways. And we can't say yes to all of those. We have to figure out which ones are most aligned with our direction, purpose, and mission in life. And that's difficult because then we have to come down to what is our why? What is our true purpose and mission that we're here for?
Yeah, I think that this is very, very important. When somebody approaching you for an idea, and you need to know about that person because you want to know that you in line with them. From
right.
the purpose to missions, because anybody can come together to do a certain thing, but in order for you to in sync and to collaborate and to make it more effective, that there is a level of resonate with each other, to
right.
to knowing how we work together to benefit the common good. That's it.
Right. Yeah, and there's give and take as part of that too, isn't there?
Right. Oh, give and take is that is a very the very thing that people need to be considered, because you just cannot go into a partnership and thinking that, I will holding back, I just give 20%. When you go in, you have to give all of you, and then hopefully that the person that you work with have the same mindset, the same thinking with you. They will jump in and they will give all of them. Just like come into a marriage, if your mom or dad talk to you about marriage is going there 50-50, that is so yesteryear. Today, it's not the case anymore. Today, you have to come in with the mindset that you have to give all of you.
Yeah, that's a great insight. I've talked a little bit about how families work together, but I haven't talked about, in a marriage setting, how you have to, it's all in, isn't it? If you're not all in, that's when couples start to struggle and argue about things, and suddenly you're not connecting or understanding each other, or even listening to each other in some cases.
Yeah, I'm very strongly believe in that, because see, a person who you become, hopefully that will be attracting the same you're attracting that person come in,
Right.
and because that person have exactly the same mindset, you
Mm-hmm.
go in there with idea, give all of you, and not all the time, but sometimes that at the time that you have to give 100%, and your wife might not need to give anything, but one time that's sometimes that you cannot give anything, and then she
Yeah.
have to give into 100%, and sometimes you go to 50-50. I mean, this is the and depend on the situation, and however we want to work with.
Yep. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's interesting to me. I was talking a little bit about the the cooperative arrangements that are occurring on Blab with hosting and co-hosting Blabs, and I talked about how important it is to have a curator of comments to really process what's going on in the comments, welcome people, respond to them, and kind of keep the host advised, make sure they don't miss somebody or miss some comment or question that the host should address. So do you think the comment person in a Blab, to have a co-host for the comments, do you think that's important?
There a lot of, oh, where is it? I hear the echo.
Yeah, I hear an echo too.
Maybe I should get out and.
Okay. I'm going to stop the recording for a second. My dog's barking, and I'm going to figure out what's going on. So hold on. I'm going to let you back in, but I'm going to pause the recording for a second. Just a second. Okay, we're back on the record. Dog has stopped barking, and the echo has gone away. So some breaks are necessary for all kinds of reasons, for dogs, for echoes. But that indicates if you're having a sound issue, it's valuable to have a co-host or have other people in the room to tell you that you've got an echo problem, and you have people exit out and figure out who has the echo and get rid of it. So you have a higher quality recording.
Yeah, I also just learned that they said that if you hear the echoes and somebody said, oh, they didn't hear anything, and that person is the one that have the problem issue. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but anyway, now, Jeremy, what you said is very true. Collaborate. One is you're talking about one person. You can do so much, but together we will do much more. Having said that, but the idea of personality or the common goal, it have to be in sync in order for the collaboration work and work well.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not sure it's necessary that we all have the same personality type, though. Would you?
No. I don't mean to do that, but I mean, just sometimes people have like, how do I explain? Another, you don't want to looking for the same personality, but somebody that, wow, I don't know what is the terminology for that. But go on with your point.
Just people that are aligned with the same
the alignment,
same mission or purpose, that kind of thing. Yeah, somebody was using the alignment language this morning. I can't remember who it was. I'm gonna have to find out who that was. And darn, I hate that. You have somebody that's talking about something important. Oh, I wrote down who it was, but I don't remember their name right now. But I did write down somebody was talking about that today. So the notes are in my inbox, which is in the other room, and I'm not going to pause to look at it. So, it is important. You have great thoughts to take notes and figure out how to use those later, because sometimes the greatest thoughts will otherwise escape us, and they may end up important thoughts that we want to have in a book or the topic of a blab or a great cooperative idea or something like that. So those ideas hit you at any time. So I try to keep my ideas in Evernote and just kind of dump them there. And sometimes they'll end up getting pulled into books that I write or blog posts, or they're just they're in a temporary idea file, and I try to figure out how to reappropriate those later, how to use them.
Yeah, it's you know that sometimes that something just spark in your mind. You know, when some idea just arrive, you know, if you write it down and later on you come back and you look at that, and it will remind you of some idea that you once have. So
Yeah.
I like that, and I never got on the Blab without a note. The notebook. I always have a notebook in front of me.
Mhm. Don't you think that brainstorming is important as part of cooperation? What do you think of that? Like,
Oh, I certainly believe that the power of the brainstorming, you know that you and I will go into the partnership, right?
mhm.
So because see, when we go in to sit down and talk, first of all, the brainstorming, and the brainstorming is just like we just share our visions. And then, you know, and we just go ahead and everybody just whatever that they say it, whatever come to their mind, and later on we will finalize it, and then we will come, you know, and we will see that what is work best, and you know, and then you know they said that you know how you get the best idea. You need to get more ideas in order for you to filter it through in order to get the best idea.
True.
Is that, you know, and that the mastermind, the brainstorming will do that, you know, because you keep on just whatever coming to enter your mind, you just say it and then just put it down, and later we will go through the process. Because see, when we're doing the conversation, that I thought it just like ignite some of our own
Does.
thinking in the whole process, and I think that brainstorming is very very important.
Yeah, that's a great image, the ignite image. Because I earlier I talked about how we have to kind of have an internal fire, and we have to have, you know, we have to find ways to throw logs on that. And I think sometimes it's the people that we're cooperating with that are throwing logs on our own fire, and then suddenly we do realize, wow, that's, you know, that's a lot more powerful idea now that someone else has just given me a completely different insight that has opened new horizons to me, new complete ways of thinking. So,
Yeah, you know, I mean, when you go into any relationship, and then when you go and sit down, them, you have to encourage people to express themselves and to bring their idea in. You know, because you never know, because we just put it all in, you know, we just toss every thing in the hat, and later on we just shift it, and we just filter it, and we will find that there is a great idea in that pile of the stuff.
sure. Yeah, and sometimes it's difficult to determine which ideas rise to the top, but I think we do have to, what I think of is if you're sifting flour, you use that sifter, and you know what's left, it kind of becomes you know what you're going to go with, I think, although, you know, I guess if you're cooking you kind of use the flour that you've already sifted through. But what I'm getting at is you're catching the ideas in that flour sifter, and you're going to use some of them for some purpose. So
You know, as soon that we're talking about 3 feet away from gold, let me tell you, and that is the process of mining gold. You know, when you put in the, you know, when you go to mine for gold, that is you have a lot of dirt and a lot of gravel, whatever, into, you know, you have to go through all that. We all do a shifting through all that, and we have to we were looking for the gold nugget, and just like the idea that we're looking for a great idea, that's a matter of we have a lot of stuff in, and then we have to shift it until we find the gold nugget.
right, and the 3 feet from gold, for those who might not know it, there was a miner named, I think it was R.U. Darby, and he was
Yes.
mining in California, right, with the California
Yeah.
gold rush.
Uh-huh.
So about 1849 or so. If I was a history major, so I hope I have the year right. I'm got to be within a couple of years, I think.
You are a better man than me. I don't know much about the day in the history,
Sure.
but I understand the story of he go to mine for gold. But see for him, he just looking for goal, and he so just because of that, and he just his concentrations and his is the end in mind is the stubbornness is great, but then when you do it without open-minded and just seeking for specialized knowledge or some help, and sometimes that you just go doing something and without have any prediction or any some studying, just like when you go somewhere, you need to have a map, you need to know where you're going. But if you said, you keep on driving and hoping that you will arrive to some destination, yes, you will get somewhere, but might be the destination that you weren't looking for.
Yeah. Well, and that destination still may be a very powerful one. That's the interesting. It's interesting that you mentioned that, though, because, I was sure that when I became a lawyer, I would be in a courtroom for the rest of my life. And I found that wasn't the path that suited me at some point. There was just an internal sense that there was an intuitive sense that something was wrong. And I had to readjust, shift path. I do want to recognize Bill Rowe had a great point in the comments about to keep a fire burning, you have to provide fuel for it. And I think that's important. We do have moments in our lives where our inspiration runs low, or motivation runs low, or our internal fire starts to flicker, getting close to going out entirely. And I mean, at that point, we have to start throwing logs on the fire in some way, don't we? And we have to have someone else throw logs on the fire for us if we can't do it ourselves.
Yeah, I for me, the idea, Bill, thank you so much about talking about the fire, especially the New England winter. The house with the fire turn on. It's just a very beautiful scenery. But when I'm talking about the fire as an entrepreneur, I'm talking about the campfire. And sometimes, just like the Boy Scout, you just like try to find some stick or something, you can spark some fire. Then, you have to gather the firewood in order for you to put in that sparking, with the little fire. And the more firewood you put in, the more the roar of the fire will give you the beauty of the fire and also the heat that you needed in the cold day in the camp.
Well, and you need some fuel for the fire too, and Bill pointed that out. I mean, you can't, there's the Boy Scout method of creating a fire without any match or anything. I don't know if any of you were Boy Scouts or went through that. I had to try to do that in a couple campfire trips, and I could not get the flint to ignite. It was magical. Some guys were able to do it. I think it was just. It was either an art or skill you either have or don't have. But I would imagine the Boston winters are definitely less mild than we have here in Lincoln, Nebraska. So, and I don't know where the rest of you are from, but whether or not you have a real fire or a virtual fire, I think the virtual fire we're talking about is still important because it's part of your internal. It really connects to your soul. It connects to your soul and heart. And I think, a lot of times it's the other people that give you the illumination of how you should ignite your fire or throw more logs on the fire. And I don't know. I'm kind of a fiery individual. I got to tone that down sometimes, actually.
Jeremy, that's why you have to dig deep, because you need to find the inspiration that is, to ignite that fire, because you need to, because that's what you're doing, like Bill talking about, you have to put in the fuse in order to keep the fire ongoing. That means we have to seeking inside of us to find the inspiration in order for us to keep the momentum going.
Yeah, and don't you think sometimes that should come from a small group? I mean, do you think it's important for entrepreneurs to be connected to a mastermind of some sort to allow all of us to share best practices, things of that nature for personal and professional development?
I totally agree with that, because it is, believe it or not, this is a very lonely journey. Because because you are go on in this journey. uh, the time that you need to be connect and you find somebody, not because you want to have somebody have the hardship or have the walk on the lonely journey like you, but because by this sharing that or you sharing your journey, you actually empower somebody. You give them some place that they can identify with. They don't say, oh, not just me, because that is the journey. All of us as the entrepreneur, we have to go through all that, and we need each other. We need each other, though.
Yeah. How do you determine if the individuals that you're trying to create a mastermind with, how do you determine if you have alignment and connection that's strong enough to work?
There is a lot of people talking about mastermind. A mastermind group, there's a very much a different model, different style. Some is just like a group of the people. For instance, somebody, a mastermind leader who will create a mastermind, and people will join and pay the member fee, and they come together, and the mastermind, the creator, will acting as the facilitator. But to me, a mastermind that more effective and more useful to me, that is the mastermind of the Think and Grow Rich, because everybody with the special knowledge, everybody will come in with something to give and something to gain. Because it's very, very important. You come into the group that who will help each other. I don't like the word that people said about accountable. I want to say that the mastermind, I like that the people come together. They will push each other in order for them to get into the top. I call that the peak performance partners.
So accountability partners, like within the mastermind, is that what you're talking about, huh?
That I think that is, people might disagree with me, but I think that's a kind of a lower level when people meet together and they hold each other accountable. That means they just want to say, oh, I need to do this because I have to answer to this person, or I do the group. But when we're in the mastermind group that I'm talking about, that we don't need anybody to push us, because we know in ourselves we need to do a certain thing in order for us to succeed. But when I said that we have to hold each other and to push each other to become peak performance partners, we will push each other to be the best that we can be. We push ourselves to the limit, and that's the mastermind. That's the idea of Think and Grow Rich, and that the mastermind that you can have the people come in with a special knowledge, with, again, like I said, with something to give and something to gain. Because everybody come in, just like you are specialized about something, and something you very good at it, I know nothing about. And something that you know nothing about, I have to offer. And that's why we come together and we make us better ourselves at the group.
And that limits, I agree with you. I think we all have blind spots, weaknesses, if you will. And I think that helps. It doesn't destroy the blind spots entirely, but I think it diminishes them. And you still have blind spots, but they're smaller than they were before, because you have a bigger collective understanding and vision that others have provided you. And, your knowledge and wisdom database has grown and substantially in a lot of cases, if you've been listening and aware of what other people have been saying.
Yes. And then, when you get into the mastermind group, and to me, I'm very strict into the mastermind group. If I need to have your commitment. You will come in whenever convenient for you. No, because at the time that the member of our mastermind group might need something that you can offer, and that day, because inconvenient for you not to show up, and you won't show up. And that, to me, that we have to make commitment to each other, and we have to go in, and then you never know that somebody need our talent, need our gift, as well as that is when you go into the mastermind, you have to be open-minded. You ready to learn, and you ready to give, because you have to be a generous giver and an excellent receiver. because
True.
that will be benefit to everyone.
How do you make masterminds interactive? I mean, how do you make sure, you have, I've been in a mastermind before and I left it because I found I wasn't growing anymore. I kind of,
See,
I found there were other people that weren't participating at all. They were just there. And if that doesn't seem to work for me. Do you agree? Do you think that's
yes.
interactive?
See, in the mastermind group, remember you are the individual, and then you come in, and then with a group of people, hopefully that we are a group of the people might like it. I cannot say the word. So we come together, and then you know that you are very much in the personal growth. You continue to grow. And because you continue to grow and every member continue to grow, and that mastermind can stay, sustain with time. But, if you come in and you just say, you said that's enough, and you don't seeking to grow and you don't learn more, that means people will keep on going and you stay back, or you keep on growing and people stay back, and therefore the discrepancy in the mastermind group, you actually defeat the purpose of mastermind group when somebody who is the anchor, who just like, okay, I'm parked. And then, then you drag over down, and that's the time that you need to excuse yourself. And then if you are a anchor, but again, if you know that you are the person on the move and the group didn't give you don't find that they can be helping to you or enrich your life in some way, somehow, then you need to looking for a different group to belong to.
Yeah. It's a fascinating concept, and at first I thought it was more conceptual, and then after reading Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, I realized, wow, this is a deeper concept than I thought, and there were just all kinds of, there's more depth to it than I thought there was. But I think some people are calling what they're doing a mastermind and not really delivering that kind of service to the people that they're serving. Would you agree?
That's correct, because a lot of people are using the word mastermind so loosely. Hi, Bill.
Hi, Bill. Welcome.
Hi. I just want to kind of give my 2 cents on the word mastermind, okay?
Sure.
And you might find this interesting, Jeremy. I think that every conversation we have is a mastermind. Okay, if you look at my deal in the comments earlier, you can mastermind for a common cause, or you can mastermind to find a common cause.
Sure.
And it all involves communications and relationship building. So every conversation we have in life is a mastermind. Now you can take that to a greater level when you find a common cause and go into a mastermind group where you have that commonality. And that's what's going to make a mastermind group grow, is the commonality. As long as everybody's, like on the same page.
Yeah, there does have to be, I'm struggling with what to call it, whether to call it cement or a commonality, common vision. I mean, you can call it different things, but there has to be some source of unity that connects all the members, or it's not going to work, right?
Yeah, well, you actually said it yourself earlier.
I agree with I agree with Bill, because a mastermind group is that the meeting of the mind.
Yeah.
But when people, and that's why we become a mastermind group. But when we're talking about so commercial mastermind group, when people are, if you go on the blab, you will see a lot of the mastermind group. People talking about, and sometimes they let's say that I said, okay, I have a mastermind group. You pay me $247 a month, and that, okay, I said I will have 10 people, and then actually with then 10 people, and then I the one running it, I'm more likely a facilitator rather than, and again, it's a mastermind group, but the mastermind in the Napoleon, in the Think and Grow Rich is it kind of different, it's different, and yet it's the same. But I don't know how to distinguish the thing other than to tell you that people come together, share their thought, and now here I run the mastermind group. So I will come in, I will say to my group, okay, you will address your, first of all, I want to hear your win because I want to celebrate with you. And then you will address your challenge. And then you will, and the third one, you will say, okay, you will come out asking, okay, I need some help. I need some idea. I need some people with some suggestion or something. And that's how I run my mastermind.
That's great. It's it's just interesting to see. They're all the masterminds seem to be moving towards virtual. Not all of them, but a lot of them seem to be moving virtual. They have a kind of a broader global or national vision, depending on how interconnected the host or the, I don't know, what do you call the director or creator of a mastermind, the person that runs it, how connected they are with the world with social media. But I think with social media, we're able to do a lot of that through virtual connections, aren't we? With, there's Zoom and other platforms like that I think can be used for that, right?
Yeah, people using Zoom, or some people using the Skype, and some, if you have a paid version, you pretty much, I think the Skype, you can have 25 people, but that are too big for a mastermind group.
Yeah,
because
I was going to ask that. How, in your opinion, what do you think is the ideal largest size of an effective mastermind? Because I've seen some larger than 25 too, and they haven't worked for that reason.
It is. That's why the mastermind group is maybe 10 people. Oh, 10 people is still too much. I think 6 people, because usually the mastermind group, you might running from an hour to 90 minutes most, because you don't, because people have business to go. You don't want to tie people for 2-3 hours. And, and each individual, you don't want to say, oh, this week you are Jeremy today, this week you take the platform, and the following week will be Bill. No, we have a matter need to taken care of. We cannot, so everybody have to share the time on that platform, because you have your challenge, you have whatever you have, you address that, and then each one of us will take a 10 or 15 minutes to address our situation. Again, like I said, share your wins, share your challenges, and share and asking for the group for the input. Yeah. Now, again, when we are asking for the input, we don't seeking for opinion. We're seeking for counsel.
Yeah, we have a question here from, is it Christian, I think? How do you deal with the situation when the mindset of the participants is totally different? And I've wondered that too. You have people with slightly different, we all have different backgrounds, different experience. And I like what Bill is saying, that even what we're doing right here, right now, is a mastermind. And I have a question pegged, is Blab a mastermind? I think that's an excellent question. I mean, we're sharing wisdom and knowledge. But before we get to that, I want to try to get to Christian's question. Either of you have any insight on how do you align the participants if they have different mindsets, different perspectives, different experience, maybe different viewpoints on important issues?
Well, there again, I mean, let's kind of clarify a mindset with differences in opinion, because that is a difference. If you all have the same mindset, and let's just take mindset and say it's an open mindset, so everybody's open to different opinions and stuff, you're fine. If you're in a group where you have, very opposing and competitive type things going on, you're in the wrong group.
Right.
And you're better off just leaving that, because it's not benefiting you. And because of the friction involved, you're not going to benefit anybody else in the group.
Yeah, that's a great word, friction. I think that's a great word that reflects a lot of the conflict that, if there is conflict and clashing in an adversarial fashion, I think that is a bad sign. And I talked about, I think, adversarial conflicts before, but it's interesting, competitive ones I hadn't thought of. So I appreciate you putting that on the table, because I think that does become a problem. If you have people competing for, see who can impress each other the most, or, you can have all kinds of scenarios occur.
Yeah, and, Hal was talking earlier about, some of these paid masterminds. Now, to me, I kind of understand that concept, but I'm opposed to it because a mastermind is an open dialogue about, ideas and goals. Okay, so why would you have to pay for that? I mean, if you're looking to get to a common goal, you want to be involved with people that have that same goal. So why charge for that?
That precisely, Bill. That's what I'm talking about. That I'm talking about other people group and things like that. See, for me, I want to handpick the people who come together with me, and we can help each other to improve our business.
Right, you want the like-minded people, right?
Yes. The confrontation is not welcome. However, the differences in our own debate that help us grow.
Right.
And
when you start adding a monetary value to this mastermind thing, to me, it just takes mastermind out of the equation because you're adding an element of pressure to the situation. Now, I understand the reason why some of these people are charging for it, and it's for accountability. But that accountability, I mean, not only comes from the group, but it has to start internally. If you can't be accountable to yourself, you're not going to be accountable to anybody else, and you're not going to let anybody else hold you accountable. Mm-hmm. It's always a two-way street.
Ooh, we have Christian on the sidebar. He just came and formed a mastermind, and that is not new to me at all. People pay $10,000 to $15,000 to be on. They call the table something.
I would hope that would be an immersive style of mastermind. Is that the idea, that you get something so intense that you've got to pay exorbitant, I would say almost exorbitant numbers to? Wow.
Okay, and here's the deal. Now, is that a mastermind, or is it a more of a training environment where you're going in there to learn something?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know.
See, that's why the mastermind word just gets so using so loosely to almost everything. There's a woman. What is her name? She have the table something that $5,000, and I think that Randy Rage, I think that's $15,000 a month, or Brandon Boucher, that is his and what another guy, $25,000 a mastermind group. Yeah. And
now,
then
see,
again,
that's where they're sharing more of their ideas, and people are paying that money to get access to those ideas from that person. Exactly. That to me is not a mastermind.
But they still, see, that's why I talk about the mastermind they use. What is the guy named Joe? You pay him $25,000. He connects with Richard, the one that the Branson. He bring you to have dinner with. Just like to get the privilege, to get the connection that you needed. But again, people call mastermind. A lot of people, even $200 something called mastermind group, because people. Jeremy and I, we talked that a couple of times, that why we're so frustrated, because people are using that term so loosely, and that almost no meaning now. Because
and it's not to say that you can't, gain and garner some great information and some great ways to help yourself in those types of groups. But when I was talking earlier about the give and take, going into a mastermind with an open mind and being ready to give and being ready to receive.
Yeah.
When you go into a paid group like that, I mean, you're going in with the attitude that you're looking for something from them, but what do you have to offer? Mm-hmm. Now, if you had that much to offer to a mastermind, wouldn't you be charging that same amount for them to let you into their mastermind?
See that?
You see what I'm saying?
I see perfectly. That's why when I talking to Jimmy, did I mention that? Is, we have to handpick a group of people that we can help each other to grow, and that nobody pay any money, but we come and we just share our knowledge and support each other, and that was the mastermind that I'm so love. But the mastermind that people will commercial or do the promoting, that you can join for $4.97, $4.47, $9.99, or whatever the amount is.
Okay, I'd like to address some of Christian's comments over here, because
sure,
I think what he's talking about in this particular instance is a mastermind. Okay, because he's talking about people that have to make over $1 million a year or more to actually be involved in that. Now, these people, when they get together, what you have to understand is they all have a commonality in mind when they get involved with these masterminds, okay? And they're going in there to have an open discussion on that. And the fact that they're charging that money for it, okay, it keeps that group small. It forces that group to be a small group, and what happens internally with that money, I have no idea. But, everybody is contributing to that, distinct idea or, goal. So, in those cases, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I think that they go in and with somebody who have something for them to leverage, and then they come in, they will masterminding, and then they also gain something. But I don't know. But there's a lot of I was connected by a few mastermind group also, and that concept is just like I agree with you, Bill. I'd rather to go in there and to have a group of like and then go to help each other and to help each other grow, and then to put each other to hit the peak performance.
Yeah. See, now, and I think this whole monetization thing of masterminds has come from, these people in the upper echelon doing that sort of thing. And they thought, well, I can monetize a mastermind. Okay, but, if you really want to, go into one that way, okay, go into a mastermind group where you have tools and services that you can offer other people, but you don't monetize it from the outside. In other words, you don't make the mastermind group itself monetized. It's still free to come in, and whoever's setting the mastermind group up, just like, let's say, you asked earlier, Jeremy, if Blab is a mastermind.
Right.
Very much so, because you have the ability as host to kick somebody out. If you don't like what I'm saying, or if I'm saying something totally out of context, rude, and very disruptive, that little X button's there, and same thing in the mastermind group. Whoever's setting it up has control over who they're letting in, and they're typically going to be looking for, like Ha says, like-minded people, right. People with a certain goal that they want to achieve in mind, and they want to basically collaborate about it. True. So you can control that situation as far as how many you let in. And also, just to let you know, I think no more than 8, because just like in any open discussion,
yes.
Keep in mind, a mastermind is a conversation, an open dialogue, right? And if you get any more than that, it becomes too noisy. Yep. People start interrupting each other.
Yeah, everyone
so Bill,
has to
where
have
have
their
you
say.
been? Why we have not connected until now?
I've been around.
It's time to create a co-op. Who's in?
Yeah, and then you addressed everything to Jeremy. Make me feel like I'm a chopped liver. No, never mind. Just kidding.
No.
But no, I am so honored. Such a very, very nice to meet you, to meet you, and really, really nice to talk with you. And I love to have good conversations.
And by the way,
just
Jeremy,
like
this just crossed my mind because I just happened to poke over at my Skype screen over there. I finally did the personality thing.
Oh, good. The 16 personalities one.
Yeah, so I just sent that over to Roy earlier. So
okay, I'm going to be talking about that on tomorrow's intuition blab. So you might want to, if you're interested, hop in. And
I'm interested, but I probably won't be around because I'm getting ready to head up into the Northwoods for hunting season. So
okay, I understand.
Tomorrow's going to be a busy day for me.
Sure. Yeah, we all have our priorities. We all got to make time for what's important in our lives. So, yeah, I need to wrap this up.
So, Jeremy, I know you have to go pick up your daughter.
I've got 2 minutes. We
right
have 2
now.
minutes.
Okay, so and then we will go. Should close because I need to. I just walk in because I just see you by yourself, and I hate that, so I have to jump in. And
well, I appreciate you guys jumping in. It's hard to talk about cooperation without having others involved. It's not as cooperative.
Yeah, and I don't know if you had noticed, Jeremy, but I was in like when you first started, just after you got off with Jason, and And another friend of mine called me over because he needed my help in one of his blabs. He was doing like a demo. So I had to jump out, and then I had an errand to run, and you were still on when I came back. So that's when I jumped in. So.
Well, the sound trouble ended up allowing more people to be involved. So that, I guess I'm grateful in that respect. You know, we talk about what we're thankful for, and sometimes the little inconveniences end up making things possible like this. Both of you still here and a couple other people in the room. And the replay viewers that will watch later.
Yeah. You know, Bill, really appreciate you, and thank you very much for good conversation. And next time, I hope that you have more time, Jeremy, and we need to open, and we need to have Christian come in, because I love to hear what he had to say about it.
We'll return to the subject. I promise you. It's just a matter of figuring out when, and, we'll try to make sure we let everybody know, and we'll come back to it.
I got a title for you for that blab if you want to make it around masterminds.
Yeah, drop it. Tell me.
All right. You call it mastermind, one word, and then the word or, and then the word master, and then the word mind. See who gets it.
Wow. I like that.
Because just like what we were talking about, you get into some of these paid masterminds where, just like Haas says, it becomes a facilitated group where the facilitator may not have the same views or whatever, okay, but it's not a mastermind. Or you get into those groups where it's somebody looking to just shed their ideas on everybody and not wanting to receive anything. That's where the master space mind comes in.
Yep.
Okay. Because I actually had a good friend of mine ask me into a group that he called a mastermind. And as it turned out, it was nothing more than him doing some training. To me, it's not a mastermind.
That's precisely what I'm saying, different. Bill. And then if Jeremy do the blab on this one, you will see that more people show up because he stepped on some toes.
It's an educational platform. It's also perhaps a mastermind platform. It's also just a place where we can trade ideas. It's a marketplace of ideas, if you will, and we can exchange ideas. And some of that can be cooperative, like Bill talked about. Maybe not involving monetization, and the monetization of the educational components of this platform are still being developed too. I think those are going to be
powerful. The monetization thing comes in from a 5-letter word that a lot of people getting caught up in it, and it's called greed.
Yeah.
Okay. And to me, it's like if you're looking to make, it's just like Gary Vaynerchuk says, with a jab, 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 right hook, or the give. The more you give, the more you'll receive type thing. Okay. Don't worry. Do I worry about money? Heck yeah. All right. But do I go out there with the purpose of trying to get money out of people? No, I am all about going out and helping people. Now, if something comes about that where we can work together, fine. And that's where I was saying earlier, like you can go into these masterminds with tools and services that might help people in their common cause. Right. If the mastermind, is about a subject that you're familiar with, whatever. And you can let people know about those products and services from within the mastermind when the topic comes up.
Yep. I'm sorry to close this out, but I really need to go. I wish I had more time, but my time's limited today. So I look forward to revisiting this topic. I want to thank all of you for joining us, and thank you, Ha and Bill, for joining to participate. And Christian, you're still here. Thanks for your insight. Appreciate, having people with mastermind experience. It's interesting. We need to have a blab on that in the future and explore that topic a little deeper, because I think some of us have had great experiences, and some of us, I had kind of a mediocre experience that I'd like to improve upon very soon.
I so follow Bill and Christian now, because you guys, you guys are the people that, I need to hear from you.
All right.
We'll definitely get together.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Cooperate any way you can. Cooperate, collaborate, and
Christian said, let's do it. Then we have to hold him accountable.
Let's do it. Let's just do it. Just cooperate.
Let's do it.
No
we will
excuses.
have to hold him accountable.
Just cooperate. All right. Thanks.
Yes.
I'm going to stop the recording.